Nephews, let me ask you a question before we get into tonight's show. How many times have you told yourself, I'll start Monday, I'll start after the holiday, I'll start when I feel better, I'll start when I get some closure, or I'll start when my life settles down? Now, let me ask you a harder question, nephews. How many Mondays have come and gone? Because here's where most men get this wrong. They think that they're waiting for the right time. They're not. They're waiting for a feeling. They're waiting to feel motivated. They're waiting to feel confident. You're waiting to feel ready. But feelings are terrible leaders. And that's why the Conqueror's Code isn't built on feelings. It's built on discipline. It's built on decision making. It's built on accountability, on self-respect, and on emotional control. Because those 5 things still work on days you don't feel like showing up. Now, here's a lesson I want every nephew to hear tonight. You don't build a better life by starting over. You build a better life by refusing to quit. There's a difference. A man who keeps starting over spends his life chasing perfect conditions. A conqueror learns how to build in imperfect ones, because life doesn't stop throwing punches just because you finally decided to get serious. You still make mistakes. You still have bad days. You still miss workouts. You still lose people. You still question yourself. But the difference is you stop using one bad moment as permission to abandon the man you're trying to become.
By the way, shout out to the loud chat. What's up, Wada?
Here's some real game for you, nephews. One missed workout doesn't make you out of shape. One argument doesn't define your character. One failure doesn't make you a failure. One bad decision doesn't erase 100 good ones. But one excuse, repeated long enough, can build a life you don't recognize anymore. So tonight, I want each and every one of you to participate, not just watch. I want you thinking. I want you questioning yourselves, because the hardest conversations you'll ever have, they aren't with your boss or your wife or your parents. They're with the man you see in the mirror every morning. So let me ask you this, chat. What area are you, what area of your life do you keep starting over? Is it your health? Is it your finances? Is it your discipline? Can it be relationships, confidence? Drop it in the chat. No judgment, just honesty, because honesty is where accountability begins. And if you've ever got something you're wrestling with, nephews, Uncle Johnny and I want you to know to call in. Right, Uncle Johnny, to get on next week's show. Send us smoke signals, nephew. You can send me a kite if you need to. And if you're down really bad, put SOS in the comments and we'll come find you. Because that's what this community is about. Helping ordinary men become extraordinary through better decisions. And I'll leave you with this before we bring the panel in. Nephews, life doesn't change the day you feel ready. Life changes the day you stop waiting for permission to build it. Lock in, nephews. My name is William. I'm your certified unk tonight. Johnny, go ahead and introduce yourself for everybody watching.
So I'm Johnny Dumbbell, personal trainer and no bullshit life coach out here in beautiful Pittsburgh, PA. Tonight, we're going to hear some stories that are at least somewhat related to accountability. We're going to be hearing about one young man who's going to have to learn a little bit of consistency, but not the way he thinks. Got another young man that we're going to have to make sure he has it in his head that discipline overcomes motivation every single time. And we have a young man who's going to need to learn how to consistently stand up for the way that he needs to be treated and the way he deserves to be treated in a relationship, and to accept nothing less. So I have made mistakes when it comes to accountability and consistency many, many times over, much in the same way that the young men you're going to hear from tonight have. Even nowadays, I work out 6 days a week. It doesn't mean I love it every single time. But if I went based on motivation, I'd probably be working out 3 or 4 times a week. But again, we gain consistency through discipline, not through feeling like it. And those are the kinds of mistakes that you don't have to make, because we're going to be sharing a little bit of our experience and the nostalgic advice that it inspires in a way that shows you that we screwed up so you don't have to. Now listen up.
Well said, Johnny. All right. Let's get into the first questions. Nephew, call us up with questions of your own. Our phone lines are open. I see we had a comment in the chat. Wada said, can I join? Wada, absolutely call up. The number should be up. Our phone lines are open. You can ask your favorite uncles any questions you need to.
Definitely. So question one, we got Todd. Now, Todd says, I couldn't handle no contact and got myself blocked. Exactly that. He said it's almost a month apart and no way of contacting her. The breakup was sudden to you, and she seemed so conflicted but wouldn't budge. And I just kept pressuring her. The things she said in the breakup stung so harshly. I was so focused on just my own experience. And to be fair, I was always told that I was the best boyfriend right up until that day. What? I don't feel like myself. I made things so much worse. She didn't communicate things that were building up at the time at all. I was right to feel blindsided, were you? But there was some validity. There was validity in some of how she felt hurt. When we talked about things, I got too defensive in my views. I didn't validate her perspective enough. It just felt like things were going well, and then it got cut off at the knees. Excuse me, like we had so much left for the relationship. If she told me that things were boiling over like this, I would have done anything to make her feel more seen. I want you guys to make a note that he said that. We just didn't communicate well enough, and I made everything worse by not leaving her alone. The last thing she'll remember me by is, quite frankly, a TikTok about avoidant behavior. My dude posted a meme in protest. I feel so sick to my stomach after about it all. I miss her so much. I don't want to believe that it's over. It all just happened too fast. I know that I have to focus on my own healing now, as Johnny Dumbbell would tell me. I've been taking strides in my own life throughout this, and it's been hard. Has either of you gotten blocked in this scenario? We're not from that generation, bud. I've never felt this type of whiplash, and this is the first girl in a long time that genuinely changed the way I see things. I wanted to share so much more with her. So, Uncle Bill, I want to celebrate one thing, though, is that he actually at least took accountability for having a moment of weakness in breaking no contact. So we got to give him that. He's not sitting here asking why this happened. He knows that he should have not done that. But here's the thing. She ended things suddenly. And rather than walk away, Uncle Bill, what did he do, man? He tore his shirt open and like bared his soul, figuratively speaking, of course. Now, explain to the young men out there why going right to the whole, oh my God, she's leaving me. Wait, no. Why is that the bad approach? Because, you know, we see in TV and the media that by being that romantic kind of guy who will not, you know, let her lose, will not let himself lose her, whatever it is, whatever you see in the rom-coms. Okay. This guy's probably watched too many and thinks that if he overly attaches, that'll bring her back. And like I said, in cinema, it makes sense. But Uncle Bill, why does it not make sense in reality?
Johnny, I got to be honest with you here. I don't think Todd, he isn't struggling with no contact. He's struggling with acceptance. He's still trying to negotiate with a decision that has already been made. His heart is living in yesterday while his life keeps moving forward. All right. Here's a hard truth, Todd. Yeah. You didn't lose her because you got blocked. You got blocked because you couldn't accept that you'd already lost the relationship. And those are two different things. Because a lot of men think the block is the painful part. No, nephew, the block is the consequence. The breakup happened.
What gets me is that he was told that he was the best boyfriend in the world, but as soon as she starts pulling away, he jumps right into being even a better boyfriend than that. And what do we say? You don't return low effort with high effort.
The block happened because he couldn't respect that boundary after the breakup. Now, if that doesn't make you a bad man, it makes you a hurting man who made emotional decisions.
Extremely emotional.
And now your responsibility.
Like if you found yourself saying,
go ahead, Johnny.
I was going to say, if you find yourself saying, my God, if I could just get her alone for 5 to 10 minutes and talk to her face to face with no distractions, if you are thinking things like that, that is your anxious attachment and it's being ripped apart. And you know something? I recommend you go to an empty room, lock yourself in there if necessary, and unplug your phone and turn it off. until that feeling passes. And believe me, it will pass. But the worst thing you could have, one of the worst things you could do is unfortunately one of the things that you did here, man.
Nephew, first, I want to give you credit for something. You owned your part, like Uncle Johnny mentioned earlier. You admitted you became defensive. You admitted you didn't validate her feelings. You admitted you pressured her afterwards. See, most people spend years protecting their ego. You're already doing something different. You're telling the truth. So now here's where I think you're getting stuck, nephew. You keep saying, what if she would have told me, if I would have known, I would have done anything. Maybe not. We'll never know, because life isn't graded on hypothetical effort. It's graded on actual behavior.
That's exactly what we mean by control the controllables.
And that's the lesson every man needs. Don't build your identity around the man you would have been. Build it around the identity. Build your identity around the man you actually are. Because intentions don't build relationships. Habits do. Communication does. Listening does. A little bit of humility does. And that's accountability. So look, Johnny, I appreciate you writing in. I don't want to be too hard on you, nephew, but I'm going to tell you. Go ahead, Johnny.
I'm going to hammer him a little bit here, man. And not a lot, because I mean, I know you're sensitive, and I can tell that by what you had to do and what you had to say about that, how you handled the breakup. And that's okay. You want to be sensitive, be sensitive. But here's the thing. You were the best boyfriend in the world up until that day. That breakup came out of the blue for you. I mean, we're talking that left hook out of nowhere, right? Here's the thing. This didn't happen overnight. It was brought to your attention overnight. You had overnight to deal with the kinds of thoughts and feelings that she had probably been having for weeks, months leading up to that. She's already been checked out, and she's already begun her grieving and moving on process. And you are just in the beginning stage, because now you just found out about that. By the time she has broken up with you, she has thought about it for quite some time. Plain and simple. You might have been blindsided, but again, it's a combination of either she's not going to tell you, and or the likelier scenario, your ego and your anxious attachment style is going to tell you that as long as she's still here, everything must be okay. To the point where your subconscious is now going to just let you believe that unless she says the words. So here's the thing. Looking at the way you chased her after she broke up with you, it makes me wonder, were you a little bit maybe too clingy during the relationship? And I don't want to speculate on that, because you know we didn't really get into that as far as as far as the context of the way the actual relationship went. We focused more on the breakup. But it's a pretty good chance that she didn't communicate what was building up, because she was compiling her exit strategy, complete with resolve and closure. Okay, she was already putting the finishing touches on that. She didn't tell you things were boiling over, because you probably were already clingy enough as it is, and you were going to be going overboard with it to try to make things better. Because God forbid you lose this girl because you weren't good enough, or whatever you would have thought it was. And then, I mean, if you were already self-conscious and overly anxious, now when she starts to tell you things that are bothering her about you, you're not only trying your ass off to fix them right this second and make it perfect, but now you're going to try to overcompensate. Now you're going to try to kind of love bomb or whatever it happens to be. And then, oh my God, when it was all over, you took to TikTok, where, by the way, you all should be following me at Johnny.dumbbell. But I got to plug it somewhere. But you went on there to post a meme, a vague statement, because God, she won't talk to you or take your phone calls or your texts. So maybe if you put up a meme showing her how she's hurt you and what she's doing wrong, she'll read that, getting back into your DMs and come rushing back into your arms. Like, seriously, dude, what were you hoping to experience with that, nephew? You know, you thought that since she was avoiding conversation, the meme was going to, I mean, I love you, nephew, but that was a bitch move. I'm sorry. It was a bitch move. Now you've not only showed her your overly emotional side, you showed everybody who follows you that overly emotional side. That could include future girls that you might go out on a date with, or in this case, maybe not. But now it's a good season for you. Now you've come to your uncles And now the healing can begin. And here's the way it's going to be. It's going to be a process. The first step, just like with any program, I don't care whether it's AA, NA, or just getting over a breakup. Admit what's happened and accept that change has taken place. Now, you know what's happened. You know how you feel about it. Now's the time to decide how do you want to feel, and let's make a plan to get to feeling that way. And I think that once you make that plan, once you set those goals, make that plan and work that plan, breaking it down into daily and weekly goals if you have to. You'll come to realize that while sometimes through difficult situations we have to learn how to take it one day at a time, there are going to be tough days where you're going to have to take it 1 hour at a time. You're not always going to want to. I don't always want to. But this is the theme of the night, young men. Discipline overrides motivation every single time. Motivation sounds like a positive word, and it is. But it does not hold a candle to discipline. Be consistent and get there, man, and we'll be here to help you.
Johnny, let me tell you where he went wrong. Let me tell our nephew where he went wrong. Let me correct myself. I don't think your biggest mistake was sending the TikTok. I think the TikTok represented something a little bit bigger. You're still trying to convince her instead of understanding her. All right, now think about it. You found information that supported your point, and you sent it hoping she'd see the relationship differently. But here's the thing. People don't feel understood when you explain them to themselves.
Never mind that. She's already checked out anyway.
They feel understood when you listen. I know that's a hard lesson and one that will make you a better man in the future. Here's the thing, though. How many of us have ever tried to solve an emotional problem with more words? Drop a 1 in the chat. Let me know if any of you guys have ever done that. And then I get it, because men think communication means talking. Sometimes communication means shutting up long enough to understand the other person's experience.
Yeah, when I was a kid, my dad used to tell me, never pass on a good opportunity to shut up for a minute.
Johnny, how many guys come into the gym wanting a new body before they're willing to accept the responsibility for the one they've already built?
I got to tell you,
it's the same.
It's kind of nice because once they hit that 38, 40 year mark, they start actually being real about it. And I can always tell with a client when they come to see me and they're being real about why they're here. You know, when you come to me and you say, well, hey, I've been doing everything I'm supposed to do and I don't know it's not working. So I'm coming to you to have some instruction. Okay, cool. You're going to be a technical client. And I'm going to show you technique and I'm going to show you, different exercises. But if you can come to me and say, man, I've lived the last 15 years of my life like absolute shit and I've eaten like a raccoon. Okay. I need help to get on this track. And I know it's not going to happen all at once. And I think that's going to be something that we'll be covering when we talk to Ed here next. Because that kind of branches between crap, I already forgot his name. I'm sorry. That branches between Todd's issue and Ed's issue, even though Ed's isn't quite as emotional.
Okay, well, here's the thing. I want to define emotional control correctly. All right, it isn't pretending you're okay. It isn't bottling everything up. It isn't acting tough. Emotional control is this. Your emotions are allowed to inform your decision. They're never allowed to make them. And Todd said, when Todd's emotions, Johnny, when they said I can't lose her, he acted. He texted, he pushed, he explained, he searched for answers, he chased clarity, everything we tell these young men not to do. But his emotions were driving the car. Mm-hmm. So his emotions need to ride in the passenger seat, not behind the wheel. And that's the difference here.
Definitely.
Now, I got a question here for the audience. Chat, be honest. Have you ever kept texting because you thought one more message would finally make them understand?
Oh, God.
Or have you been on the receiving end of somebody who wouldn't let go? I want to know, what did it teach you, chat? Todd, here's your next move. First, you need to forget reconciliation. No. I'm not saying
unless it's to yourself.
I'm saying it can't be your mission. Your mission is becoming the kind of man who won't handle the next breakup the same way. That's growth, not getting her back, nephew, getting yourself back. There's a difference. A man who learns this lesson wins, whether she ever speaks to him again or not. And the man who doesn't repeats this relationship with someone else down the road. Okay, closure isn't another conversation. Closure isn't another apology. Closure is the moment you stop asking someone else to give you permission to move forward. And that's when healing begins. Not because the pain disappears, but because your direction changes. Now, look, Johnny, here's what I'm doing tonight for this one. I'm assigning Todd some homework. Todd, I'm giving you homework. We appreciate you showing up in class, sir. For the next 7 days, every time you think about reaching out, I want you to open a notebook instead and write down one lesson this relationship has taught you. Okay, not one thing she did wrong. Todd, I want you to write down one lesson you learned. Maybe it's I need to listen before I defend. Maybe it's I ignored signs because I was afraid. Maybe it's I tried to become a better communicator. And here's the thing. By the end of the week, you'll have something that's far more valuable than another message thread. You'll have a blueprint for becoming a better man. This isn't a breakup lesson, nephew. This is a life lesson.
No, not at all.
There will always be moments you wish you could undo. Bad investments, bad arguments, a missed opportunity, a relationship that ended. You don't become a stronger man by finding a way back. You become a stronger man by becoming someone who carries that lesson forward. And that's why tonight's title matters. You keep starting over, Todd. You don't need to start over. You need to continue, sir. You need to continue building because life isn't asking you to go back. Life is asking you one question. Who are you going to become because this happened? And that's the only question worth answering, nephew. All right, Johnny, we got some questions in the chat here. Wes says, I'm hanging in here with you guys so you don't have no... My good deed for the day.
We appreciate you, Wes.
Major Blaze says,
we'll take that anytime.
I know a woman who wouldn't stop texting. Another girl I thought ghosted me. Texted me till 1 a.m. this morning. Tell me she loved me. Called me hot and babe.
Yeah. That's called the let me sweet talk back into your good graces because that way you'll still be in my background. Yeah.
Okay, Johnny, let's move on with our next question tonight. Chat. Hey, my bad, chat. I got a lot going on. I'm live on TikTok. I'm live on YouTube. We appreciate everybody watching, everybody getting involved in the chat. Here's our number.
Hey, look, we are well aware.
All lines are open.
And by the way, we are well aware that our audience is minuscule, but guess what? Everybody starts somewhere. I remember a club, and I think Uncle Bill remembers, it was Youngstown, Ohio. I was DJing. My first night there, we had like 18 people the entire night. I would say 6 or 8 weeks later, we were up to like 300 people, and we're starting to have to figure out what the fire codes were. So, I mean, you know, everybody starts somewhere. This growth is a little slower than we'd like, but hey, man, at the very, very base of what we're doing, we're having a good time.
All right, John, let's move on.
So we got Ed
for our audience.
So Ed says, I'm turning 30 in 6 months and can't stay consistent with the gym or diet. How do I actually change my lifestyle? I feel like I'm heading in the wrong direction. Over the last 2 years, I've gained a lot of weight. I even bought a 1-year gym membership thinking that would solve the problem, but I barely go consistently for more than a week before I stop again. The biggest issue is consistency. If I travel for even a day or skip one workout, I somehow end up taking another 2 or 3 days off. Does that? Don't we all know that story, man? You know, I'm going to tell you right now, Ed, you're not alone, man. The same thing happens with my diet. One unhealthy meal turns into an entire weekend of eating badly. I also have this annoying I will start on Monday mindset. Uncle Bill, we were just talking about that. If I miss a day, instead of continuing the next day, I wait for the perfect time to restart. Oh boy, there's so much right there. So much right there. It's like I'm stuck in an all or nothing cycle. Deep down, I know that if I continue like this, I'll gain even more weight, probably start facing health issues in the coming years. All right, so we got a little bit of foresight. That's what scares me the most. How did you finally become consistent? I'm guessing he's asking us both this. What mindset shift actually worked? How did you stop relying on motivation and make healthy habits stick? Just another nice way of saying discipline. What small changes had the biggest impact? I'm not looking for a crash diet or a 30-day transformation. I'll accept the Johnny Dumbbell challenge, but I do want to build a healthy lifestyle that I can maintain for years. Oh man, Ed, I'm glad you wrote, man, because here's the thing about that. I love that you wait for the perfect day, because I can't tell you how many times, especially my fatter days, for those of you who don't know, at one point in my life, I was around 265. Not huge, but definitely not comfortable. And a lot of that was, hey man, don't feel like it today. Why? I don't know. My stomach hurts. I don't know. I'll think of something. I'm depressed. I'm sad, whatever the hell it is. But the thing of it is that just like you're waiting for motivation, there's the other side of that coin, which is excuses. Because now it's easy to put across why you're not motivated, but I challenge you to give me one good reason why you're not disciplined. And that's what needs to happen here, because the hardest part of it is I think a lot of people don't change up their workout often enough. Hi, Minnie Mom. And I don't think that I think what ends up happening is you get tired of the same mundane tasks. And even if you switch up your workout, if you're still doing chest on Monday and Thursday, back on Tuesday, Friday, even if you change the workout, you're still using the same muscle groups. Now, one of the things that I do to keep motivated is I kind of switch up not only the workout itself, but I might do a circuit of 3 things in a set, for example, instead of just the plain old do a set, rest, do a set, rest. I'm not saying that's what you have to do, but if you need to change things up, sometimes you can even go to a gym other than the one you're used to, just for a change of scenery. You'd be surprised how just a different background setting might make you a little more likely to get there and get something done completely. But at any rate, I love that you mentioned waiting for the perfect day, because guys, I'll tell you this: if you're waiting until you feel like it, you are never going to feel like it. Uncle Bill?
Ed,
I know you, and I want to hear you, because I know you became consistent and you had a big transformation. At the very least, even if it weren't physical, I know Uncle Bill's gotten to a mindset of, I have to do this. I shared a couple things that I do as far as maintaining consistency. I got a couple of more ideas, but I'd really like to hear a couple from you.
Well, I got to be honest with you, Johnny.
In the chat, I'd like to hear from you as well.
Problem. Ed has an identity problem. He's allowing his feelings to decide whether he keeps his promises to himself.
Yeah.
He's negotiating with himself every single day, and
every step of the way.
Negotiation ends the same way.
He's losing arguments to himself.
Monday. All right. So, Johnny, I'm big on the pillars, teaching the Conqueror's pillars. The ones that stand out to me with this one are discipline, accountability, and self-respect. And I got some hard truths for Ed here. Sir, you're not overweight because you missed one workout. You're overweight because you become comfortable breaking promises to yourself.
That's an addiction to comfort. Yeah.
That's the hard truth. And it's not because you're lazy, sir. It's not because you're weak.
Oh.
It's because somewhere along the way, you stopped believing your own word mattered.
Now, yeah. And I mean, we need to get not only your body in shape, but your mind's got to be in shape too. And honestly, that's probably going to happen before your body does.
Nephew, let me ask you this. If another man borrowed your truck and promised to bring it back every Friday, but every Friday he had an excuse, eventually you'd stop believing him. Now, let me ask you something. Why should you believe you? And you told yourself how many 50 different Mondays have you said this one's going to be different?
Yeah.
And this is the first relationship every man has is with himself.
My personal favorite. Oh, well, I've already screwed up this week, so I'll just recommit on Monday.
If you can't trust your own word, everything gets harder. All right, nephew. So first, I want to tell you something that may surprise you. I actually love this question because it isn't about the gym. All right.
Not at
This
all.
isn't about chicken and broccoli. This isn't about cardio. This isn't.
You leave the chicken and broccoli out of
Hey,
this.
Johnny, this is about becoming the kind of man who does what he says he's going to do.
And for nobody else but himself in this case.
The gym is just where he's practicing. See, everybody thinks lifting weights build muscle. It does. But that's not the greatest thing it builds. The greatest thing it builds is trust. Trust between you and yourself. Every time you show up when you don't feel like it, you cast a vote for the man you're becoming. Every time you quit because motivation disappeared, you cast a vote for the man you're leaving behind. Identity isn't built overnight. It's built one decision at a time. Now, let me tell you where you went wrong, sir. You made one mistake. And it's a mistake that millions of men make. You had motivation as your leader. And motivation is a terrible leader. Motivation is
and I know that sounds counterintuitive, but it's true.
Motivation is emotional, but discipline is contractual. Motivation says, I'll go if I feel like it. Discipline says, I already decided yesterday.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't wake up asking myself if I feel like brushing my teeth, dog. The decision was made years ago. Your workouts need to become that automatic. Nephews, how many of you had one bad meal and then thought, screw it, I'll start over on Monday?
I have. I honestly, straight up and down, I have.
Okay, almost everybody's done it. Now, let me ask you another question. If you got one flat tire on your car, would you slash the other three? Of course not. So why do we do that with our goals?
Bruh.
One donut becomes an entire weekend. One missed workout becomes 2 weeks. One bad day becomes permission to quit. And that's insanity. Johnny, you trained people for years. How many times have you seen somebody throw away 6 months of progress because they had one bad weekend?
Oh man, I've seen them do it on one Friday. I mean, the thing of it is, and it's not even just that. It's that combined with when we make the excuse that adulting takes up too much of our time to work out. So if you're one of those folks that blames adulting and saying, well, I simply don't have time, it's simply one of the things that I train people and help them figure out how to do is to put your workout as part of your daily and weekly tasks. That means scheduling them on Sunday for the remainder of the week if you have to. That means understanding that real adulting means getting all of your tasks done. But let me tell you this, at least a quarter to a third of those tasks should be tasks that you are doing yourself for you. And one of them should be getting some exercise. Make your bed should also be another one of those. Who are you making it for? You. Who cares if you don't get it done? Not no one. You. So that's what I mean. We want to make, and when you do make these task lists, for the daily tasks, combine simple shit with complex shit. All right. You can put in answer all emails at work as one of your tasks, but I want another one of them to be eat breakfast. I want another one, whatever it happens to be that you want to become more consistent at, but it's so simple to do, but you haven't been doing. I want you to put that on your task list and do not check it off until you have done it, and make sure you're doing it as many days in a row as possible. I'm not going to tell you every single day. That's not realistic. Let's face it. You are beginning a healthy lifestyle. If you ever smoked a cigarette, guess what? You didn't become a smoker without being consistent with it at first too. So if it takes commitment to have a bad habit, imagine the commitment it's going to take for you to develop a good one. I don't tell you that to scare you out of trying. I tell you that to challenge you today. I challenge you to give at least 1/3 of those things for yourself. I want to, well, for one, I want you to understand one thing. You cannot outwork a piss poor diet. So we're going to need to make sure that you're understanding how macros work. And I mean, if you need that, I'll follow up with you in an email. I don't want to bore our two viewers with that. But I also want you to kind of keep in mind, you said you're 29 and a half. You're not quite 30. Oh, God, that was about your age when I started dabbling into fitness. So that's a good thing. But if you think that your diet and your lack of consistency is affecting you now, keep it up into your 40s. I mean, see how you be dragging ass then. Because I'm telling you, Uncle Bill and I are seeing classmates of ours, people our age. And when I see them, I'm like, there is no freaking way this person is my age. There's no freaking way I'm the same age as that person. And sometimes I find out I'm right because they're 5 years younger than me. These things will happen. Listen, you're either going to have consistency or chronic problems when it comes to the physical realm. And I mean, I think you're trying to, that having been said, though, I think you're trying to change too much too soon all at once. You're trying to get consistently in the gym 6 days a week. I don't know how many days, but I mean, you're trying to get in the gym consistently, and you're trying to have the perfect diet, and you're trying to, and the thing of it is, if you're trying to do all these things consistently at once in the very beginning, it's no wonder one little thing's going to derail you. I like the stepladder approach. I like to say, well, first, let's get you to the gym a minimum 4 times a week. When you've done that for 4 weeks, let me know. That's the second half of the Johnny Dumbbell Challenge, by the way. Once you've done that, though, and it's become a habit, now let's talk about making sure you get your macronutrients. I don't even care about the carbs. So, I mean, once you get consistent with that, then you can start adding things. It did not happen overnight for me either. It took me a good 2.5 years just to develop 3 or 4 good, consistent habits. And I still wasn't perfect at it. Some days I'm still not. But I get up tomorrow morning and I make sure that I'm better when I go to bed that night. Can't do nothing about yesterday. But yeah, I loved your question about not relying on motivation. Again, positive sounding word, but it just doesn't hold a candle to discipline. And that's what it's going to take for you to be consistent and form that good habit. But again, you have a goal. Now you just need a plan that's going to include the schedule and checklist. And now just make sure that you plan your work and work your plan. And I'll be here to follow up with you and give you a few workout ideas. But thanks for writing in, man.
Uncle Bill,
Johnny,
I want to talk about discipline for a minute. Here's where I think most men misunderstand discipline. They think discipline means never failing. No, discipline means shortening the distance between failure and recovery. That's it. Mm-hmm. A disciplined man still has bad days. He just doesn't build a lifestyle around them. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is recovery. And that's real game, because if you can recover quickly, life can't keep you down very long. Now, Johnny, I also want to talk a little bit about self-respect on this one. And this is where I want every nephew listening to lean in right now. Self-respect isn't talking confidently. Self-respect is keeping promises to yourself, because confidence isn't built by affirmations. Confidence is built by evidence. Every workout is evidence. Every healthy meal, that's evidence. Every promise you kept to yourself, guess what? Evidence. Eventually, your brain stops asking, can I do this? Because it already knows the answer. You've proven it. Now, chat, I got a question for y'all. What's one promise you've been breaking to yourself? Not to somebody else, but to yourself. Be honest. Is it the gym?
Yeah, like what have you sworn you would do or never do again, money, but you did?
You got a corn addiction. Hey, and for real, shout out to Major Blaze too. He said 7 days of keto. So my diet is mostly keto, and I say mostly because I mess that up sometimes, but I try to stay keto every day. So I understand the discipline that takes. So,
you need the carb.
Hey, look, nephew, before we move on, Johnny, I want to talk to him about the next move. Now, and forget the scale, forget 6 months, Ed, forget 30 pounds, forget transformation videos. Win tomorrow. That's it. If tomorrow is successful, you repeat it. The biggest lie social media ever sold men is that success happens in giant leaps. No, it happens in boring repetitions. One workout, one meal, one walk, one bike ride, one early bedtime, one decision repeated hundreds of times. Real discipline never starts over. It resumes. And that's why successful men don't panic when they miss a day. They don't treat one mistake like a new identity. They simply pick up where they left off, because consistency isn't built by never falling off track. It's built by getting back on before the detour becomes your new direction.
Yep.
And I want to teach you something most people never realize. All right, your brain is always asking one question. Is this who we are now? Not what are our goals, not what are our dreams. Who are we? Every action answers that question. You skip the gym, you're somebody who quits. You go anyway, you're someone who keeps your word. Your identity isn't created through your intentions. It's created by the evidence you repeatedly give yourself. And that's why changing your identity isn't motivational, it's mathematical. Every promise kept adds one vote. Every excuse adds one vote. And eventually the votes become your identity. So stop trying to become disciplined and start collecting evidence that you already are. Now, just like our other. Sorry, Johnny, go ahead.
Well, and it's, all I would say to you, Ed, is I know that you have these goals of losing weight and doing this and that. I want you to take away from, I don't want your goals to be too much result. I want your goals to be more behavioral right now. I don't want you to think about, I want to lose 30 pounds in 6 months. I want you to think about, I want to make sure I make it to the gym 4 times between Sunday and Saturday. Make that your goal and get in there for at least for about an hour. I'm not going to say at least an hour. I'm going to say 45 to 90 minutes. Excuse me, somewhere in that range. Make that behavior your goal for right now. Make the goal be able to say you could check 4 days minimum off in that week. That's what you should be focusing on. Improving and making sure that you've got the right behaviors in place, because if you do that, then the goal of the result that you're going to be shooting for in the goals as a goal, that's going to eventually come with it.
All right, Johnny, I'm signing Ed some homework tonight too, nephew. I appreciate you right now. And I'll assign homework for you nephews to call in too. Our phone lines are open. But Ed, here's what I want for you, sir. I don't want you chasing perfection. I want you chasing proof. For the next 30 days, have one non-negotiable. One. Not 5, not 10. One. Maybe it's walk 20 minutes. Maybe it's the Johnny Dumbbell Challenge. You hit the gym 3 days a week. Maybe it's drink water before you grab a soda, or you eat one high-protein meal, breakfast, like whatever you choose. It cannot be dependent on motivation. And here's the rule. Never miss twice. Miss Monday, fine, but Tuesday isn't optional. You miss a workout, fine. The next scheduled workout happens. All right, no restarting, no Monday, no punishment. Resume, because that's what disciplined men do. This isn't about the gym. It's about the kind of man who walks into the gym. The man who becomes successful in business, the man who becomes a great husband, the man who becomes a great father, they're usually the same man. They're the one who learned to keep his word when nobody's watching, because muscles may change your body, but discipline changes your life. And that's why this episode is called You Keep Starting Over. And stop starting over and become the man who simply keeps going. That's the man your future is waiting on, sir.
And by the way, while Bill is one of your favorite uncles, he is also a father. So in case I forget later, happy Father's Day as of yesterday for you. And all you dads out there, watching around. So. All right, so we got question 3 from Skip. I love that name. So he says I guess he's 27 and she's 20. Or I'm sorry, he's 28 and she's 27. So same age. This is early doubts after finding out new information. I've been dating my girlfriend for a little over a month and a half, exclusively. And I recently found out that during our talking phase, she was consistently sleeping with another guy. Something I had no idea about. It's honestly thrown my whole perception of her and the relationship into a tailspin. When we were talking for those months, things felt serious to me. We talked every day, made plans every week. And whenever we were together, it genuinely felt like we were building something real. From my perspective, it felt like we had an unspoken understanding that we were basically exclusive already. At one point during the talking stage, I actually asked her to be exclusive, and she hesitated, which completely caught me off guard. She said she didn't feel like I had been consistent enough and brought up a few things that I disagreed with, but I just accepted it and moved forward. Walked right into that one, didn't you, Skip? During that conversation, I asked her if she had been seeing other people, to which she replied, no. I told her while I respected her answer, I was surprised because the connection we had made me feel a little exclusivity was already implied. That conversation honestly made me take a step back at the time. Now, fast forward, after talking for about 9 months, we officially started dating. I guess they get a certificate or something. Then about a month into the relationship, I found out that she had actually been seeing and sleeping with another guy during that entire period. Like she could see me on Monday and then go sleep with him on Wednesday. What hurt even more were specific situations I now look at differently. On my birthday, we had dinner plans, but I got stuck in traffic and had to cancel. So that night she went to his house. On her birthday, I tried to see her, but she told me she was staying in after a long day. Meanwhile, he was staying in her. Even 2 months before, he didn't write that. She was with him, is what he said. Even 2 months before we officially dated, he was still texting her vulgar stuff and asking for nudes. She didn't really engage in front of you, but she also didn't fully shut it down either. Weird. Now I'm sitting here questioning everything and wondering if I'm overreacting or if this is actually as shitty as it feels. Technically, we weren't officially exclusive, but emotionally it feels hard to process because of how serious and relationship-like everything already was between us. Am I being dramatic, or does this seem genuinely concerning? Skip, I'm concerned for you, man. You said that the first time you asked to be exclusive, which, by the way, what have I told you guys? You don't ask that. But she hesitated. Now you know what? Now you know why, don't you? She didn't want to stop banging the other guy without feeling guilty. Luckily, she didn't have to feel guilty once she made you believe that your inconsistency was her reason for not wanting to be exclusive right away. I mean, this is, or, you know, maybe she was being genuine, or maybe this was her excuse to continue that 2-for-1 coupon she had. Uncle Bill, let's get your 2 cents plus tax.
The real problem, Skip isn't struggling with what happened. He's struggling with what it means, Johnny. He's trying to decide whether he can trust someone after discovering information that completely changed the way he sees the beginning of the relationship.
I feel like he's asking permission for this to be a deal breaker.
No, Johnny, he's asking the wrong question. He's asking, am I overreacting? The real question is, can I build a future on what I know today?
He's asking if he's overreacting because she's probably told.
That's a decision-making problem, Johnny, not a dating problem. All right, Skip. The truth didn't change. Your knowledge did. And that's a huge difference. You woke up believing you knew who she was, and then new information showed up. Now your brain, it's trying to reconcile 2 different versions of reality. And that's why this is hurting you so much. Not because she slept with another man, because the story you believe no longer matches the facts that you discovered. And when that happens, every man has a decision to make. Do I keep arguing with yesterday, or do I make today's decision with today's information? Because that's all decision making really is, nephew. Making the best decision possible with the information you have today.
Well, and here's the thing, Uncle Bill. You're talking about what this might mean. And I'll tell you what it meant. So you were talking for 9 months, and then she finally gave in and decided to let you be her boyfriend. Now, here's the thing. I will bet you my limited edition Yarmir Yager bobblehead that the reason she's exclusive with you is because dude from 9 months probably noped out. I think what happened here, and I know this might be a hot take. I know it seems like I know it may seem to you that if that's the case that you won. But remember, this chick polished his shillelagh on your birthday and hers. Bruh. She don't celebrate either one with you. I mean,
But
okay, I get it. You got stuck in traffic, but dude, come on, man.
let's not focus on what this woman's doing. Let's focus on how to help the
No,
nephew.
we're focusing on what it means. And I'm
Let's
sorry, but
clear
those
something
actions
up.
should be clear.
Let's clear something up. The internet's going to split this into two camps. One is going to scream, "You weren't exclusive. She didn't do anything wrong."
But he also has a
The
choice to
other
make
side
too
is
as to
going
whether
to
or not he should be
scream,
exclusive with her after hearing this.
the other side is going to scream, "Leave her immediately." I don't care about either side because neither side has to live your life. You do. The real issue isn't exclusivity, it's honesty. You asked her if she was seeing anyone else, and that woman told you no. Today, you know that wasn't true. That changes the equation. Not because she owed you exclusivity, but because trust is built on truth. In every relationship, every friendship, every business partnership, every marriage lives or dies on trust. So stop arguing about labels and start evaluating character. And I'm going to tell you
Yeah,
where
and
you went wrong.
technicalities only count
And
in a
this is where I
fair
want to
court.
challenge you.
And this is not a
You
fair court.
spent weeks replaying the talking stage. Your birthday, her birthday, canceled dinner, text, the timing. You become some kind of historian, not a decision maker. Let me ask you something. If I handed you a stock report, would you spend 6 months studying last year's chart? Or would you ask, knowing what I know today, is this still a good investment? Because this is exactly what you're doing here. You're trying to solve yesterday. Yesterday doesn't need solved, nephew. Tomorrow does. And look, I'm going to talk to all the nephews for a second. How many of you have ever learned something about someone that completely changed how you viewed the past? Let me know in the chat because we've all been there. A lie, a betrayal, a secret, and then suddenly conversations that used to make sense don't anymore. Because here's the mistake. Most men become investigators. And honestly, bro, you have to become an evaluator. And that's the difference. Investigators are obsessed with the answers. Evaluators are obsessed with decisions. Johnny, how many guys stay in bad situations because they spend all their energy trying to understand them?
Well, either that or they're in denial that they're in a bad situation in the first place because they're trying to fix this. They're trying to do a two-person job by themselves, which is fix things. And it
So
simply doesn't work that way.
I'm more worried with the decision that he should be making here. And you know what? I want to talk to him a little bit about emotional control. And let's talk about why this one hurts. It hurts because your emotions are trying to rewrite history. Your emotions want to believe if I would have known, maybe things would be different. Sorry, I'm doing something with TikTok here. Maybe, sir, maybe not. We don't know. We'll never know. And that's okay.
I mean, what you do know is how you plan to move forward here. I think what you run into now is, again, we could talk about the signs and the things she did and what they mean, and I can break all those down for you. But what we really could summarize it with now is you gave her an opportunity to be honest. I don't think that you should have had to be in an exclusive relationship for her to have to be honest. She could have told you that it was none of your business because you're not exclusive, but she didn't do that. She's like, no, it's just you. And then, so I mean, this wasn't lying about one particular incident, which would still be bad enough. This was an entire hidden situationship. And the thing of it is that if it took her 9 months to finally break down and give you a shot, like I said, we can break that down further and say, well, he probably noped out. Again, we tell you all the time the why doesn't matter, but that doesn't mean that doesn't mean you shouldn't know what it means for you and how you should move forward, because that's not the why. That's the aftermath. That's the next step. In this particular situation, I think what is happening here is you want to use a technicality to say why you should trust her and be in a relationship. And while technically you weren't exclusive, officially, she was not honest with you. And again, just because she wasn't your girlfriend doesn't mean you didn't deserve honesty from her and you didn't get it. Never mind the actions that followed. That was the one that really you should be thinking to yourself, this is one red flag that I'm running towards that I should probably hit the brakes and go the other way.
Chat,
Yeah.
Chat, here's a question. Can trust be rebuilt after honesty is broken? Let me know. Yes or no? I want to hear both sides.
Well, and
And
I
I
mean,
don't
in this situation, I wouldn't even say whether it's a yes or no, but I think if they've only been, in a situationship in the whole for less than a year, I think it's an awful lot to invest in something that's already shown its dishonesty in less than 12 months. And I think that if you decided to drop it and move on from here, hey, look, at least you're not too deeply and heavily invested into this relationship, and you can go ahead and say, hey, if you're doing this early, let's just nope out now. The hard part is when you're with this person for 5, 6, 7 years, and it's been going on for way longer than you think by the time you might find out. This is the kind of thing you should be vetting out from the very beginning because you've already seen it early on. But look, I'm not going to tell you what decision to make. I am going to tell you to understand that when the writing's on the wall, it's written there for you. And that writing on the wall usually comes in the form of her actions or inaction. And we talk about bottom lining that all the time. It's called gauging her level of interest. I think that this is a situation where I think it's time to move on, man. That's it.
All right, nephews. I want to teach you something, well, really to change my life. Okay. Every relationship exists on two timelines. The first timeline is what actually happened. The second timeline is that story you tell yourself about what happened. Most suffering doesn't come from timeline one, it comes from timeline two. Timeline one says she wasn't exclusive. Timeline two says I was never enough. The first timeline is going to tell you she lied, but timeline two says I'll never trust another woman again. Notice something? Timeline two is where men destroy themselves because they stop living in facts and they start living in stories. And here's some real game for you, nephew. Separate the facts from the story. Facts help you make decisions. Stories make you emotional. And you don't need to ignore your emotions. Just refuse to let them rewrite reality. And Skip, here's your next move. I'm going to give you the game here. Here's what I want you to do. Don't decide tonight. Don't decide. Don't let hurt decide. Don't let pride decide. Take a piece of paper. And on one side, write, can this relationship become healthy? On the other side, write, what would have to be true for me to trust her again? Not what she says. We're talking about what she consistently does. Because trust isn't rebuilt through apologies. Trust is rebuilt through repeated behavior over time. And if you can't honestly answer that question, you already have your answer. Nephews, stop interviewing the past. The past already told you what happened. You need to interview the future. Ask yourself one question. Knowing everything I know today, would I choose this life again? If the answer is yes, build it. If the answer is no, respect yourself enough to walk away. Because decision making isn't choosing the perfect future. It's refusing to ignore the truth you've already been given. Now, Skip, I'm not letting you off without some homework tonight either, nephew. Now, tonight, take out a notebook and you're going to make 2 columns. You're going to write facts and stories. And under facts, only write things that you can prove. And under stories, write every assumption your mind has created. And then ask yourself, which column have I been making my decisions from? Because that's where your answer lives, nephew. Johnny, this isn't a lesson about exclusivity. This isn't even a lesson about women or a lesson about trust. This is a lesson about decision making. Life is going to hand you information you wish you never learned. You don't get to choose that, but you always get to choose what you build next. And that's why this episode is called You Keep Starting Over. Skip. Stop trying to rebuild yesterday and build tomorrow that's based on the truth that you have today.
Yep.
That's it. Build with the truth, sir. All right, nephews, before we get out of here tonight, I want to leave you on one final lesson. Every one of us has a past, a mistake, a regret, a relationship we wish we ended differently,
Not me.
a promise we broke to ourselves, a version of ourselves we aren't proud of. The question isn't whether those things happened. They did. The question is, how much longer are you going to let yesterday steal from tomorrow? Because that's what's happened. Excuse me. That's what happens when a man keeps starting over. He isn't just losing time. He's losing trust in himself. Every Monday that never comes, every workout that never happens, every boundary that never gets enforced, every difficult conversation that never gets had, you're teaching yourself something. You're teaching yourself that your word is optional. And nephews, a man who doesn't trust his own word will eventually struggle to trust his own decisions. And that's why the Conqueror's Code begins with discipline. Not because discipline makes you perfect, because discipline makes you dependable to your family, dependable to your friends, dependable to your future children. But before any of that, nephews, dependable to yourself. And I want every man watching to remember this. Your life will not be changed by one big decision. It'll be changed by 1,000 small ones no one else will ever see. Getting out of bed when you don't feel like it. Going to the gym when nobody's clapping for you. Apologizing when your pride wants to argue. Walking away when your emotions want to chase. Or keeping your word when breaking it would be easier. That's how men are built. Quietly, repeatedly, deliberately. And here's the truth I hope you can carry with you after tonight, nephews. Life doesn't change the day you feel ready. Life changes the day you stop waiting for permission to build it. Nobody's coming to rescue you. Nobody is coming to wake you up one morning and hand you discipline. Nobody's going to hand you confidence. Nobody's going to hand you self-respect. Those are earned one decision at a time, one promise kept at a time, one hard day survived at a time. So when this stream ends, don't wait until Monday. Don't wait until next month. Don't wait until life gets easier. Pick one area of your life, one promise you've been breaking to yourself. And tomorrow, nephews, I want you to keep it. Not because it's easy, because that's who you're becoming. And I want to thank every one of you who spent your evening with us. Every one of you that wrote in, everybody that got involved in the chat, to everyone who was honest enough to ask for help. Thank you. And thank you to Johnny for showing up every week. And thank you to every nephew in this community who chooses growth over excuses. I don't take your time for granted. I don't take your trust for granted. And I don't take this mission for granted, because this isn't just a podcast. This is a brotherhood of men committed to becoming better than we were yesterday. And if tonight helped you, then share it with one man who needs to hear it. All right. Send us your questions for next week. Call in. Join the conversation, because someone else's breakthrough might start your story. I appreciate every one of you. I'm grateful for every one of you. Now go keep your word, go build your life, and become the greatest man your bloodline has ever seen. And until next week, nephews, go forth and conquer. Johnny, you got anything you want to add before we get out of here?
So you keep starting over. Mentally, emotionally, physically, maybe more than one, maybe all of the above. Tonight, I heard echoes of the voice of somebody from my past who once told me, you go through these seasons of consistency where things are going good for you, and then something happens and it knocks you down a peg, and then you knock yourself down 2 more pegs after that. You go through your sadness, you go through your depression, you go through that rut that you're in, and then you finally come back and resurge, and this pattern seems to rinse and repeat because of a lack of consistency. The only cycle that will be consistent in that is that she said, I was always going to be in recovery mode from something. She looked me dead in the eye and said, and I hate that for you. Tonight, we saw a guy who couldn't commit to himself by the means of maintaining no contact with someone that he definitely needed to remain in no contact with. We had a guy who had a hard time committing to himself in the physical sense because of what I just mentioned. It's so easy to be derailed, and that's called being demoralized and demotivated. I got news for you. I was demotivated just today in my workout, but it got done. And finally, a gentleman who is having a hard time committing to himself in probably the most difficult to overcome way that I've ever known. And that's to have enough self-respect and have enough dignity to have a vision of how you deserve to be treated and how you deserve, and the honesty that you deserve, not just from an actual committed significant other, but from anybody you're involved with, from casual all the way up. See, all of these things can be fixed over time with practice and a little bit of self-love if you can remember to hit that check mark on each task that you've made for yourself every single day. I want that bed. I want you to make that bed before you leave your room in the morning. I don't care how bad you got to pee. Make the bed. Get to that gym. Do your meditation if that's your thing. Get your tasks done at work. Get your tasks done at home. Call your mom. Wish your dad a happy Father's Day if you didn't do it yesterday, and shame on you if you didn't. But the important thing to remember is that discipline is greater than motivation. Motivation's fickle. Motivation is an absolutely inconsistent part of life. Discipline never changes. Discipline grabs motivation and gives it a big ass wedgie and says, no, let's go. Get your shit on, let's go run. Get your weight belt, let's go hit the heavy weights. Discipline takes motivation along for the ride. It is not the other way around, because if it were, I'd probably still be well over a deuce and a half. Now, I want you to think about that before you go to sleep tonight and every morning when you wake up from now on, if you heard what I had to say tonight. We'll be touching base again with you in just 71-ish hours on Thursday night, 9:35 p.m.
No, we're off till Monday, Johnny.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We're off till Monday. All right, so we got another week. That means you got a holiday weekend between now and the next time you're going to see us. Now, I can assure you that while Uncle Bill and I have a wealth of knowledge, we do not have a wealth of money, which means we do not have the means to bail you out. So please keep the drugs and alcohol to a minimum. But if you do drink, don't drive. And if you do drive, don't park. Because accidents cause people, and that can cost you. Good night.
Thanks for watching, everybody. God bless the real. I appreciate each and every one of you. Yeah.